Hey, welcome back everyone. Rob here from Ram Studio Comics. So in today's video, I want to talk to you about not drawing crooked faces. So here's an example of a very crooked face. I was digging it as I was drawing it. And then after I get done, I realized, no, it's crooked. So what I do with my traditional art is I flip it with my phone. And I know some people will hold it up to a light, look at the art through the board. But this is some pretty heavy board. By the way, I'm trying some new board. These are just practice. Don't judge me on these, but Eon board, and yeah, I like it a lot. So I'll probably do a better, I'll do a review on it at some point. But it's a good board. I typically use Strathmore 200 series Bristol board smooth, and there's some variations. There's some differences, so I'll talk about those in another video. But anyway, so crooked faces. So sometimes what happens is the face will be crooked, side to side, okay? I would say the alignment, everything being parallel is pretty good, and I think I did do some guides for that, so that makes sense. But what I also needed to do was map out the guides better this way, okay? And you could see right away, if I take the side of the mouth, it lines up to the center of the eye here. The side of the mouth here lines up further. Really, you could probably even say the edge of the eye. So, and this is something that happens in my work. I tend to skew from one side to the other. You'll see it here with the bolts everywhere. It's just something I tend to do. Now, some people will tell you it's because your drawing surface is not aligned to your parallel to your view. I think there's some truth in that, but I've always drawn this way, and there's times I do it and times I don't. But what I want to show you today is a way that you can kind of hopefully beat the process, or do a little bit better. So what I'll do, let me turn the page sideways here. And you can see, generally when you even turn the work, even like upside down, generally those imperfections will, become a little bit more apparent. So there is that, just not looking at the artwork for too awfully long in one way. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give myself a grid pattern to start with, okay? And so that helps right there. But for angled faces, it's still a little bit tricky because you have to, you'll see, I'll just show you. How about that? And you can use this line right in the middle to line up to one of those lines, and then roll a ruler your way across. So just establishing a basic grid helps considerably, I think. Give myself a couple more so I can draw this a little bit larger. Just like that, okay? And even these don't have to be perfect. What I tend to find is that just basically a blank white canvas is real easy to mess up. So now what I'm going to do is just start drawing an angled head. And I'm going to start with the circle, find the side plane to the side of the head, center line to the face, roundabout, get that angle downward that I want. And probably this first line that I establish is probably, altogether a little bit better because I have this horizontal line there to gauge. And really, if you want to be even more specific, you could make these squares even, and then you're really going to know side to side. But all I want to do now is I want to map, this eye area is going to be somewhere in this block. So we got about a square there. This is a smaller square, so I need to kind of pay attention to that. But I would realistically say if I was to bring this over, I could make a couple lines like this, and I could say these squares are relatively even there. So it's going to be a lot easier to map the distance side to side that hopefully I won't skew it nearly as bad. So let's go ahead and work through it and find out. So you find your 1/3 by, finding the top section here, ear goes in that back quadrant, bring that over, roundabout. And really what I like to do is I like to just find the front plane of the face here now and work down. Instead of trying to come over this way and this way. It doesn't seem to matter. You got 1, 2, this one's a little bit longer, 3, or I'm saying I have it a little bit longer, it doesn't need to be. And remember too that this right here, it's the Andrew Loomis method, but it's just a basic starting point that you want to play around with variations to your measurements here, or you're going to get characters that are just too awfully similar. So I'm just going to work back here. I'm going for like a tough guy kind of pose. Now, so I can already see myself skewing, and I don't know that I would see that as apparently without the grid, but I definitely see it here. So, and I feel like this could actually curve back just a little bit more. But if you notice, if I go like this and I work, I'm kind of mimicking that line above with that curvature. Look how far off the jawline looks. In fact, I don't know that we would even see the edge of this jawline. This is always a tricky one for me to perceive at first. So let's go ahead and add a little bit more to the top of the head mass, like this. Make that ear a little bit bigger. Also, I like to bring this line down to the chin. Same thing over here. I also like to put an oval sometimes for the chin. So I kind of mix up a bit of an oval and a square-like shape for the jaw, the chin area. And really just the more guides, the better. Draw a line across the top like this. Kind of nudge this line over. Really try to get that feeling that it's curving around the top of the head. Spend as much time here as needed to kind of figure this out. You can draw center lines this way. I think the first person I saw to do this was David Finch, and I want to say it was his class on caricatures and head drawing. And I thought that was really neat. I've never drawn those in there before, and so it just kind of helps you position where that eye is going to go. Now remember, this line here that goes from the top of the ears across isn't the eyes, it's the eyebrow. It's the brow line. So just, be aware of that. And again, at this stage, really try to chisel this out based on the type of character. So if the character's skinny, you're going to pull this information in a bit. If it's like a Joker character, maybe a big ear off the side of the head a little bit more. So you want to really start to manipulate at this stage. At least I tend to think it works out better if you do that. In fact, let's go ahead and make this somebody like the Joker. So I'll extend the chin down like that. And so now I'm going to soft erase this. So I'm going to take the kneaded eraser and get my workout here. Get my finger exercises going. Finger sizes. All right, and then soft erase this back. You see it makes it just a little bit lighter there. And I still got my grid. It's not very apparent, but it's still there. I can always fill it back in if I need it. And so what I'm going to do now is go right for the head shape. So I'm going to add the brow like this. Cheekbone. Bring out that pointed chin a little bit more. So you see it's a little more of a, I would say a little bit more like a Joker character. I want to always keep my center lines in mind as I go. Even if I give them like a bigger kind of hook nose or something like that, I work off that center line and bring it out away from the face and then back towards the face like that. There we go. And, just people always ask, what do I do to get better at facial features? You draw them a lot from life and from comics, but you simplify. You find your own simplification. So, for instance, in this ear area, I just go curve, little pocket of shadow, curve, pocket of shadow, a little bit more shadow there. It's a simplification of the ear. It's easy to remember, but you have to find your own way. Like, you can definitely welcome to use mine, but I find that, we all have to kind of find our own roadmaps on certain things, and that's one of them I think that we, you just have to play around with a variety of methods until you find what works for you. All right, so for the mouth, I'll give him a bit of a smirk. Not quite the wild Joker smile. I think I would probably need to extend the, change the perimeter shape a little bit more for that. Something like that. Pocket under the mouth like that. So, all right, so I just want to make sure that I'm not skewing this. Now, I did the mouth first, and I think I did the same thing to tell you the truth, but But I'm at least aware of it now. Like I can see it happening where before I wasn't even aware of it till I was done and I flipped the work and I was like, whoa, this is way off. And so there's a difference. You know, being aware of it and making a choice based on a character type is vastly different than just, you know, not knowing what you're doing and making a mistake, obviously. But so I'm going to bring up the width of the nose. I'm going to put in big ovals. You can use like egg shapes. I remember picking this one up from watching Patrick Brown. Really admire his work as well. And I would see that in a lot of his sketches. He would draw these big circles first. I was like, oh, I never thought to do that, oddly enough. So now, kind of a laugh line over here, or wrinkle off the nose. So you can see the smirk is pulled further over to the center. Actually, they're both still relatively center. And you could bring this center line down, I imagine. Check it as well. But you see how more guides like that are making it a lot easier to align things. Let me tighten up just a little bit here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get in the eye shapes. And we're looking down at the head a little bit more. So typically what I think of there is that the top eyelid needs to flatten out a little bit more. And the bottom eyelid needs to be maybe not more rounded, but you're getting a plain view of the rounded shape of the eye where you're not getting that on the top view, or the top eyelid, I should say, because you're looking down at it. So it's subtle. I don't think I, hit you over the head with that kind of effect right there, but it's really, I think, things you need to think about as you're drawing. It's not that they need to be very in your face and super noticeable, but it needs to be apparent that you're aware of it, that you're thinking of it. And then it comes through in the drawing, even in a very subtle way. I mean, I think subtleties a lot of times is what makes something look professional. At first you have a brief understanding of something and you're implementing it, and it shows it's there, but you're not really confident at applying what you know yet, so it doesn't come through as a very, confident version of a drawing. And then after a while, you do it 100 times, 100,000 times. And then you're like, oh, okay, I understand this now. And then you play around with things and you deviate. That's what really shows the confidence, I think, is that you're like, not only do you put it in there, you throw it in there with more of your own zeal and style because you know the thing front to back, forward and back, and all that. So yeah, I'm gonna make this kind of like Joker. I'll put some hair down his face this way. So it doesn't really look like Joker. It almost looks like a skinnier version of Two-Face or something. I don't know. Really a Joker kind of look. And for this, I'm just overlapping a lot of curve shapes. I usually start pretty light so I can figure out a flow and a direction. But hopefully, I know I'm deviating here. Hopefully you see that the alignment is a little bit better. I think that it's still a little off. So for instance, the thing that I'm seeing now that I would want to correct, but again, I'm seeing it before I'm done, so I still think it's working. So if I was to take the alignment here, so say the mouth, even though there's a bit of curve, so I wouldn't count that curve. The alignment here, relatively straight to the chin, sliding off the page here. There's the mouth, there's the nose, and as we get to the eyes, they're close. I guess they're enough. It's probably the shape. But see, here's the weird thing about the eyes. And then the eyebrows, I don't know. I could say that's close enough because, one eyebrow being slightly raised isn't a deal breaker. It's usually more expressive. So I think that's relatively aligned that way. But what I feel like is happening here is I don't have the right shapes for this side, maybe, as far as compared to the other side. And that's another thing that I always battle. So let me see if I can correct that, but I don't know if I can correct that with what we got here. I almost feel like I need to build a shape independently for the face area. Could try that, I guess. Let's give it a shot. So what I'm going to do is get in here, and I'm going to say, well, the shape that I'm picturing for the face area sort of like, see if I can line this up just right. Where's that line at? Right there. Let's say I really need my angle here, like a little mini T-square. but I should be able to do it with this. Let's say something like that. Does that kind of expose anything there? Let me see. I'm just kind of studying it. I'll tell you what, let's try this. I'm going to soft erase the face. Soft erase the face. Sorry. I'm a part-time rap artist, if you didn't know. Only on the weekends. Okay, so now, let me sharpen my pencil here. Yeah, I don't know that's that far off. I think it's just the shape of the eye. And his left eye, our right, would be a touch wider than it's too wide. So maybe it's that. And then I don't think I'm not digging the shape of the face really, but let's see if I can correct it just with some little nudging around here. So I feel like this one's too wide, just a little bit. I'll bring that in just a tad. Just a smidge. Whatever a smidge is. I don't even know what that means, really. It means a smidge. That's what a smidge means. Okay, so that, and I feel like that line right there was distracting me as well. So I'm going to darken up the edge of the face here. I'm actually going to round that out as well. Mainly because I feel like a lot of times I can go with too many angles, and then all of a sudden the face looks almost too rigid or robotic or something. So it's a balance of these curves and angles. You got to get a little of both, I guess, is the style I go for. Like I'm almost halfway wanting to get rid of it on the chin here. It's very angular. It typically gives a more kind of masculine vibe to the character. But then again, it also, if it's overdone, I feel like it can look like, I don't know, like just too much. Overdone. I'm going to thin out the neck a little bit more. But see, I'm just kind of slowly nudging things around. I mean, I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but it's what I do, so that's what I'm doing. Okay, and really I shouldn't be doing fills. I want to take advantage of the sharp tip that I got, that I just put that effort into. Get all the little details when your pencil is sharp. That's today's tip of the day. Tip of the pencil, I mean. It's supposed to be my Peter Griffin laugh. Okay, so let's do that. I'm looking up and back. Oh, and I know someone will ask, so I'm going to mention it while I'm just filling in these little details here. This is 2H lead. This is a 5mm lead holder? 2mm. Uh-oh. All right, I forgot that part. You know what it is. It's a lead holder, but it's 2mm, right? Yikes. I haven't used it in a while. I've been switching back and forth to digital in my mechanical pencils, which I love because you just click them, you don't have to sharpen them. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to be bringing you guys more traditional art videos, so be ready. Let me know what you think of that, because yeah, I don't know, something. I'll tell you, I think it's the whole AI art thing that's making me want to do this more and more now. I'm wanting to do traditional more and more. I find myself drawing on paper a lot more than I ever have. Well, not than I ever have. I used to always draw on paper, but yeah, I feel like it's the only way to fight back on all this AI crap, and I don't mean to sound negative. I try to look at what positives will come out of it. And I don't want to make this a rant about that, so I'll just finish up. But anyways, what better way to feel like you're putting yourself out there in the right way than drawing traditional? Not that I'm going to stop doing digital. I'll definitely do a lot of finish work digitally. But at least at this point, AI can't do pencil drawings, right? Or at any point, it's never going to be able to do pencil drawings. And I don't care if it has a mechanical arm that's like, that's just fake. There's nothing, it's never going to replace pencil art. So anyways, I'll leave it there. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up. I'm sick of talking about it, actually. I'm sick of hearing about it. But yeah, so anyways, back to drawing here. So now I'm trying to pick and choose. See how I got all this messy stuff for the hair? Just trying to pick and choose some of these shapes. So I'm still kind of searching for those shapes, and I find I have to do that quite a bit. Because at first I do this thing where it's too awfully aligned and it looks a bit ridiculous. Get his pupils in real quick. Yeah, it looks too, what's the word? Too somber to be Joker. Is that the word, somber? It just doesn't look very intense. Maybe it's, you know what, this could be Joker before he became the Joker. What book was that? Well, they probably showed a lot of them, right? But was it The Killing Joke? Oh my God, that was a twisted story right there. You haven't read that one? Check that out. Okay, so let's work on the hair just a little bit. But anyways, I think in the moral of this story, the purpose of this particular video was to show you how to hopefully get away from those crooked faces, not how to draw hair. I can do another video on hair. But I think that's better. Like, I feel like there's less skewing there. I'm not saying it's perfect because it never is. Like, there's probably areas where I need to really get better at positioning the eyes into the eye sockets. These have to be, eye cavities. And I don't feel that with this illustration as much as I think I should. So I have to work on that. But that's, overall I feel like it's not as skewed. Like when I look at this one, I immediately just see the skewed aspect. The face looks really oddly positioned to the shape of the head. Sucks too because I really liked it when I was drawing it. So it's tough. But when in doubt, use a grid pattern. Maybe even establish another shape for a certain area that you might be skewing. And you know what? Comment below and let me know what you do to combat this notorious aspect of drawing faces. So thanks very much for tuning in and watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's content. More on the way very soon. As always, keep drawing, keep having fun, and bye for now.